Hello, dear students. Today we start a new theme, organic and non-organic world. Open your books at page 49, exercise 1. Vocabulary. Listen and say.
Chemical pesticides. GMO, genetically modified organism, crops. Compost, food and animal waste. Biological pesticides, such as ladybirds and beetles. Hormones and antibiotics. Synthetic fertilizers.
Now you are to answer which relate to organic food production, all, or non-organic food production. No. Let's check. Chemical pesticides are non-organic. GMO, genetically modified organism crops, are non-organic. Compost, food and animal waste is organic. Biological pesticides are organic. Hormones and antibiotics are non-organic, and synthetic fertilizers are also non-organic. Now let's get acquainted with new vocabulary words. Listen to them and write down in your vocabularies.
Compost, fertilizer,
GMO.
growth, ingredient,
livestock,
pest,
pesticide,
In exercise 2, you are to match the two columns. Let's check inorganic food production. Number 1, biological pesticides. It's C. Can help reduce pests and disease. Number 2, compost is D. Is used as fertilizer. Number 3, animal feed is A. Is GMO free and has organic ingredients. The fourth, good living conditions is B. Can help prevent disease. In non-organic food production, number 5, farmers spray chemical pesticides is G. To protect crops from pests. Number 6, animals eat any type of food is H, which can contain synthetic substances. Number 7, livestock are given antibiotics and hormones is E, to prevent and treat illness and make animals grow faster. And the last, farmers use synthetic fertilizers is F, to increase the growth of plants. Now let's watch the video.
Organic versus non-organic world. Do you pay attention to where your food comes from? Do you ever buy food from the organic section at the supermarket? Today, we're going to take a look at some of the differences between organic and non-organic food production. In organic food production, biological pesticides, such as ladybirds and beetles, can help reduce pests in crops. In contrast, non-organic farmers spray chemical pesticides to protect their crops from pests. Biological pesticides are free from harmful chemicals, so you might consider paying a little bit more to know that the food you're eating is safe. Compost is used as fertilizer on organic farms to help crops grow. However, on a non-organic farm, farmers use synthetic fertilizers to increase the growth of plants. On livestock farms, there are major differences too. An organic farmer will use animal feed that is GMO-free and only has organic ingredients. But on a non-organic farm, animals might eat food that contains synthetic substances. Livestock are sometimes given antibiotics to prevent and treat illness, and hormones to make them grow faster on non-organic farms too. The organic farmer has to work hard to make sure livestock have good living conditions in order to prevent disease. Now that you know a little more about the differences between organic and non-organic food production, Are you more likely to pay attention to where your food comes from?
And you are to make complete sentences with the following phrases.
In organic food production, biological pesticides can help reduce pests and disease.
In organic food production, compost is used as fertilizer.
In organic food production, animal feed is GMO-free and has organic ingredients.
In organic food production, good living conditions can help prevent disease.
In non-organic food production, farmers spray chemical pesticides to protect crops from pests.
In non-organic food production, animals eat any type of food which can contain synthetic substances.
In non-organic food production, livestock are given antibiotics and hormones to prevent and treat illness and make animals grow faster.
In non-organic food production, farmers use synthetic fertilizers to increase the growth of plants.
Which two things about non-organic food production have the worst effect on our health and why? Listen to the opinion.
I think chemical pesticides and antibiotics and hormones have the worst effect on our health, because these things can have a very negative effect on the human body and can cause diseases such as cancer.
And now we are going to talk about organic food. Open your books at page 50, exercise 1. In a minute, you are to write as many words as you can think of under each heading. Now let's check and compare.
Fruit: apples, pears, bananas, melon, grapes, oranges, lemons. Vegetables: potatoes, carrots, broccoli, tomatoes, lettuce, cucumbers. Meat: beef, lamb, pork, chicken. Dairy products: milk, cheese, yogurt, butter, cream.
Which item from the list below do you usually buy organic? How often do you buy organic food? Why or why not? Listen to the opinion.
I buy organic fruit and vegetables because I don't want to eat food that is covered in pesticides. I don't buy organic meat and dairy products because they are not readily available and they are very expensive.
Now let's get acquainted with new words, listen to them and write down in your vocabularies. Don't forget to learn them by heart.
Animal welfare. Artificially.
Feed.
Nutrient.
Organic label.
Exercise 2. You are to read the title and the headings. What is the text about?
The text is about the benefits of eating organic food.
Now let's read the text and watch the video.
Save the environment and eat organic. We've all seen organic food and drinks at the farmer's market or our local supermarket. You can tell which products are organic by looking for the different organic labels on the packaging. Organic food is different to regular food because it is produced without the use of any synthetic substances. Farmers have to follow lots of strict rules in order to produce it. They mustn't use any genetically modified organisms. These are plants or animals that are artificially changed to grow faster or be resistant to disease. They have to avoid chemical pesticides, but can use biological pesticides instead. One example is using ladybirds to eat the aphids that damage crops. Synthetic fertilizers must never be used on crops. Farmers can only use organic compost made from food and animal waste as a fertilizer. Organic farming also promotes animal welfare. In fact, the animals can only have organic feed, and they must have good living conditions. Organic farmers don't use synthetic hormones to increase the animals' growth or milk production. They also avoid medicines, such as antibiotics, to prevent and treat infections. When we take all this into consideration, we can see why organic food is good for us and the environment too. Studies have also found organic produce to contain more beneficial nutrients and antioxidants than their non-organic equivalents.
In exercise 3, you are to read again and mark the sentences as true, false, or doesn't say. Let's check. People have recently started eating organic food. It is true. According to the text, many people are replacing unhealthy snacks with organic foods in an effort to take better care of themselves. Only items that are 100% organic can have an organic label on them. It is false because in the text it is said some foods such as fresh produce or meat are certified 100% organic, and other foodstuffs, for example bread, may not be totally organic but might contain some organic ingredients. Biological pesticides are not as effective as chemical ones. There is no information in the text, that's why it doesn't say. In organic farms, compost is used as a fertilizer. It is true because according to the text, farmers can only use organic compost made from food and animal waste as a fertilizer. Synthetic hormones are used to prevent disease in animals. It is false. In the text, it is said organic farmers don't use synthetic hormones to increase the animal's growth or milk production. And the last, non-organic foods are higher in antioxidants. It is false. Because studies have found organic produce to contain more beneficial nutrients and antioxidants than their non-organic equivalents. In exercise 4, you are to fill in. Hormones, compost, ingredients produce welfare, pesticides. Let's check. Organic farming methods protect animals' welfare. This bread contains some organic ingredients. Some animals are given hormones to make them produce more milk. Local produce is fresher because it doesn't need to travel far before it's sold. Many farmers spray their crops with chemical pesticides to prevent pest damage. You can easily make compost from your kitchen and garden waste. In exercise 5, you are to answer the question, how do non-organic farming methods have a negative impact on the environment? Let's listen to the opinion.
Non-organic farming methods can have a negative impact on the environment by polluting the soil and the water table with pesticides and chemical fertilizers. They also pollute our bodies with hormones and chemicals when we eat these foods.
Now let's practice our grammar. When do we use relative, demonstrative, indefinite, reflexive pronouns and quantifiers? Let's remember the rules. Relatives. Relative pronouns as who, that, whose, and which, that, and the relative adverbs where, when, and why introduce relative clauses.
These are the things which I bought today.
We use who, that to refer to people.
This is the cashier who is very polite and helpful. This is the cashier that is very polite and helpful.
We use whose to show possession. It cannot be omitted.
Mary is the woman whose bookshop we often go to.
We use where to refer to places. It is used after nouns such as place, house, street, town, and country.
This is a clothes shop where you can find clothes at good prices.
We use when to refer to a time. It is used after nouns such as time, period, moment, day, and summer. It can either be replaced by that or omitted.
Saturday is the day when I usually go to the supermarket. Saturday is the day that I usually go to the supermarket. Saturday is the day I usually go to the supermarket.
We use why to give reason, usually after the word reason. It can either be replaced by that or omitted.
The reason why many prefer online shopping is the convenience it offers. The reason that many prefer online shopping is the convenience it offers. The reason many prefer online shopping is the convenience it offers.
Defining non-defining relative clauses. A defining relative clause gives necessary information and is essential to the meaning of the main sentence. We do not put the clause in commas. We can use that instead of who or which.
Joan is a woman who loves shopping for clothes. Joan is a woman that loves shopping for clothes.
Who, which, that can be omitted when it is the object of the relative clause. That is when there is a noun or a pronoun between who, which, that and the verb.
This is the dress which I want to buy. This is the dress that I want to buy. This is the dress I want to buy.
A non-defining relative clause gives extra information and is not essential to the meaning of the main sentence. The clause is put in commas. We cannot use that instead of who.
David, who is an executive, always wears a suit to work.
Harrods, which is a famous department store in London, has 330 departments.
We use these for things near us.
This soup smells delicious.
We use these to refer to something happening now or in the near future.
This food festival has got some strange food.
We use this to introduce someone or when we talk on the phone.
This is my wife, Kathy.
Nice to meet you, Kathy.
We use that, those for things far from us.
That supermarket has really good prices. We should go there again.
We use that, those for something that has finished or is in the past.
That film we saw yesterday was great. Let's see if there is another one today.
Reflexive pronouns. We use them with the verbs such as behave, burn, cut, enjoy, hurt, introduce, kill, look at, teach, etc. when the subject and the object of the verb are the same person. For example, she hurt herself. She is a subject, herself is an object.
She hurt herself when she fell over in the park.
We also use them with the expressions enjoy yourself, behave yourself, help yourself.
Ben was very cooperative and behaved himself while I was examining him.
We use reflexive pronouns with the preposition by when we mean alone, without company, or without help.
I made this cake all by myself.
Emphatic pronouns. We use them to emphasize the subject or object of the sentence.
She took her temperature herself to see if she had a fever.
Jack cut his finger and bandaged it himself.
They usually come after the noun or pronoun they emphasize or at the end of the sentence.
It was the doctor himself who bandaged my hand, and not the nurse.
Quantifiers. We use a lot of, lots of in positive sentence with plural countable nouns and uncountable nouns. We omit of when a lot, lots are not followed by a noun.
The baker makes a lot of bread every day. She bakes a lot because she has lots of customers.
We use much and many in negations. Much goes before uncountable nouns and many goes before plural countable nouns.
She isn't going to make much juice, so she doesn't need many oranges. 2 are enough.
We use how much and how many in interrogative sentences. We use how much with uncountable nouns.
How much beef do you need?
Just half a kilo. I think this is enough.
We use how many with countable nouns in the plural.
How many cheeseburgers did they order?
They ordered 3 cheeseburgers.
Too many can be used with plural countable nouns and has a negative meaning. It shows that there is more of something than is wanted or needed.
There are too many eggs in the basket. They might break.
Too much can be used with uncountable nouns and has a negative meaning. It shows that there is more of something than is wanted or needed.
He is making a mess because there is too much pasta in the bowl.
We use a few with plural countable nouns. A few means not many but enough. Few means hardly any, almost none, and is used after very for emphasis.
We have got a few eggs to make an omelette for the both of us, but very few mushrooms to put in it.
We use a little with uncountable nouns. A little means not much, but enough. Little means hardly any, almost nothing, and is used after very for emphasis.
My favorite breakfast is waffles, topped with a little jam and very little cream.
We use aren't any, are no with countable nouns.
There aren't any eggs in the egg box. There are no eggs in the egg box.
We use isn't any, is no with uncountable nouns.
There isn't any milk in the carton. There is no milk in the carton.
We use any in the negative and interrogative. We use some in the interrogative with offers.
Would you like some ketchup for your chips?
No, I don't want any ketchup. Do you have any mustard instead?
Yes, of course.
In exercise 7, you are to choose the correct option. Let's check. Have you got the shopping list? Yes, here it is. First we need some milk. Oh, let's get this one. It's the same brand that my mom buys. No, everyone says organic milk is better for you. Perhaps we should try it for ourselves. Sure, I've never tried anything organic before. Okay, next we need a few apples too. Those green ones over there look delicious. Yes, they do. Have we got everything? Yes, let's go to the checkout. Exercise 8. You are to listen to a lecturer talking about GM food. Read the questions and make notes.
GM food, harmful or helpful? In Europe, a shopper walking into a supermarket can choose whether or not to buy GM foods. EU law dictates that all GM food must be labeled. In the USA, however, no such law exists. food manufacturers do not have to reveal if their products contain GM ingredients, despite polls showing that the vast majority of Americans want GM food to be labeled by law. Whether they know it or not, Americans have been eating GM food since the mid-1990s. Today, GM food is present in an estimated 80% of packaged goods in the average U.S. grocery store. The biotech industry says GM food is completely safe and can benefit mankind. Environmentalists say that it is dangerous to both humans and the environment. Who is right? A genetically modified organism, GMO, is a plant, animal, or microbe, for example bacteria, that is created when scientists combine DNA from one species, say a fish, with another species, say a strawberry plant. By cutting and pasting together the DNA of very different species, scientists can produce organisms that would never actually exist in nature. People in favor of GM foods say that it is no different to conventional food. They state that it is 100% safe for human consumption. They also state that GM crops may put an end to world hunger because they produce more crops. A third claim is that because they can be made to carry pest-resistant genes, GM crops are better for the environment because they reduce the use of insecticides. A growing number of scientists argue against these claims. They say that studies examining the effects of GM food on laboratory animals have clearly demonstrated that it is harmful. Scientists believe there is also no evidence that GM crops produce higher yields. Furthermore, they state that even if they could, it would not end world hunger. The problem, they point out, is not that the world produces too little food. On the contrary, it produces too much. Many scientists are also of the opinion that GM crops could be disastrous for the environment. One worry is that the whole organic farming industry will be destroyed because cross-contamination of GM crops with non-GMO crops will occur. In other words, soon all the world's crops will be GM whether we want them to be or not. Another concern is that GM crops will actually lead to more, not less, pollution because many are designed to withstand greater applications of pesticides and herbicides. These two entirely different viewpoints leave consumers confused. Are GM foods safe for human consumption or not? Will they harm the environment or not? More research and time is needed before either side will be able to say for certain that they are right. Many groups in America are pushing for the labeling of GM food. Until then, shoppers who wish to stay away from GM food can download the True Food Shopper's Guide, which lists food manufacturers who guarantee GM-free food.
Now let's compare your notes and check. In Europe, shoppers can choose whether or not to buy GM food because all GM food must be labeled. In the USA, food manufacturers do not have to reveal if their product contains GM ingredients. Arguments against GM food include: it is dangerous to both human and the environment, it is harmful, the whole organic farming industry will be destroyed because of cross-contamination of GM crops with non-GMO crops, and GM crops will lead to more pollution because many are designed to withstand greater application of pesticides and herbicides. A GMO is a plant, animal, or microbe that is created when scientists combine DNA from one species with another species by cutting and pasting together their DNA. GM food would not end world hunger because the world already produces too much food. And in exercise 9, you are to do some internet research to find out more information about GM food. Listen to the model and make your own presentation.
We can avoid most GM food and ingredients by only buying organic products. We can also avoid certain GM ingredients in our food. The main GM ingredients in our food are corn, corn flour, cornmeal, corn oil, corn starch, gluten, and corn syrup. Soybeans, soy flour, lecithin, isolate, and isoflavone. Canola, canola or rapeseed oil, and cottonseed oil.